Can you tell us, give us some insight, some exclusivity on the Javon Show about the new James Greer project?
Absolutely. The single that's out now currently is called I Want to Say Thank You, featuring the wonderful, amazing, talented, gifted, sweet, loving Marette Brown Clark. That song is a remake. It was a song recorded years ago, written by Ferris Evans Jr. out of Gary, Indiana, my hometown where I'm born and raised.
Shut up! I'm from Chicago, so when I heard the song, I said, "Wait a minute, this is hey, we sang this in Chicago."
Absolutely. So the Chicago influence was all my influence growing up, the Chicago choirs. And I grew up on that. I grew up as a choir director. That was a Gary, Indiana church boy running around Chicago to all the church musicals and all the concerts. So that's my upbringing. That's my roots as Gary, Indiana, Chicago. That's the sound that influenced me as a kid. And that song, I Want to Say Thank You, was always one of my favorite songs. And I always said that when I got a chance to record it, I was going to record that song. Then I called Marette. I was like, Marette, I really want you to be on this project. She's like, okay, well, let me hear the music. And when she came in the studio, and her being the ad-lib queen, when she put her spin, it was a no-brainer. I was like, this is the song right here. I knew it right then and there.
Being reminded that this song was created to encourage people. This song was created to be a faith soundtrack for someone. So who am I to say, because I'm tired of singing this song every time I go out? This is one of the things that draws me to these places. This may have been the song that helped people to discover who I am. So
to the one the King of Kings, the Lord of Lords. Peace and love.
Hey, everybody.
What up? What up? What up?
Hey, welcome. We are live again tonight with Anthony McGahee and Praise Motivated. And we are gearing up for our live recording that will be May 31st in Chicago, Illinois. And so tonight we are talking to the Gen Zs of the choir. And we're going to get their perspective, on being a Gen Z in a professional gospel choir, and what it's like to serve with Anthony. So we want everybody that's joining us to like, share to your respective platforms, pages, stories. Let's go. We'll give you guys a moment to share. And so, can y'all... Oh, okay, so this is better for sharing. Gotcha. Okay, we're doing something new on tonight. So we have, of course, our founder, Mr. Anthony McGahee, who is going to give us what we need on tonight. And then we got my guy in the clutch coming in, Keyshawn, who is a Gen Z and also a board member, who is going to join us again tonight. God bless you, Bishop.
Bless you.
And then we have my favorite Gen Z. We have Miss Randy Dandy, aka Miranda, that is joining us tonight, just so we can rock this thing out and get some promo out there, because we want everybody to be blessed by what we're doing and to know who we are and what we're doing. So we are going to hop right in. So Keyshawn, you had this question, before. So if we have new people who are streaming and listening tonight, you gotta kind of tell it again. So the first thing we're gonna do, Miranda, I'm gonna start with you. So can you tell me? Okay, wait. Before I do that, what's the age range for a Gen Z?
I think right now it's like 27 to, I don't know. I think like Gen Z is like starting with, because I'm 27.
What year were you born?
I was born in 97.
Okay, so I think it starts in 1996.
No, it started in 97.
It starts in 97.
Oh,
97.
Oh, it starts in 97, and then it goes to what?
2000.
2012, I think.
Something like that.
Yeah.
Oh, that's so broad. I feel so old. I was doing
Yeah.
those. Okay, so so we have a wide variety of ages in this choir. Anthony, what's the youngest age in the choir?
18.
Who?
18.
Who's 18?
I'm saying that's the youngest age to be in the choir.
Oh, okay. So to
No, she's
enter
Are you
the
asking
choir,
who
you
is the
must be
youngest
18.
choir member?
Yes, I'm sorry. Who's the youngest choir member currently?
I believe Tony is now.
How old is Tony?
oh, he is. He
Yep.
is. He's
Um,
20, he just turned 21.
21.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
And then who's the eldest in the choir?
They don't want me to say. They don't want me to say. I'm certain they don't want me to say.
Okay, well, what's the age?
Um, it's in the 50s.
Okay, that's not
Look
bad.
at me.
That's
I'm
not
trying to
bad.
think.
Let's
No, I was
not
trying to
try to
make
do
sure,
the
I
guessing
was trying to see
game.
if we had anybody in the
I'm not getting caught in
60s.
that crossfire.
No, we don't
What
have
I
any
But the
said,
sixties.
crazy thing is, that I feel like I'm still so youthful, but I'm one of the old people in the choir.
you one of the old girls.
Ooh,
Ooh.
you tried it.
No, no, no. It's a
You
club we
tried
have, but
it.
we call them something else, and I'm not gonna say it on here. But
Right,
Mm-mm.
right.
that's old, one of the
Praise
old
the
girls.
Lord.
Uh-uh.
Oh,
I
you
love the old
tried it,
girls. The
honey.
old
I
girls,
still
the
feel
old girls is the
youthful.
ones I call the kick with.
All I hear is
Listen,
Danny right now.
The,
All I hear is Danny because he's the main
yes,
one I
exactly. But Danny came up with the name. But I
Them,
call I'm saying old girls because the old girls are the ones I call the kicking with. Those are the ones I want to go hang out with. I don't
Danny.
normally call the babies. But
Keisha and them will hang with me. I played
For sure.
flag football with the kids the other day. My knees
they
ain't been
all
right
will hang
since.
with me. Be not
For sure.
deceived. They all will hang with me. But there are certain levels of the hanging that I tend to
Mhm.
choose to do differently. I don't
This
always
is
have the
this is
energy
what
to
I
hang
say to
with the
your comment.
babies. Oh, okay. Well, I don't always have the energy to hang with the babies. So just let you know, get what they do. They see Uncle and Uncle Love on there. But
No, that's I just want to put my device on do not disturb. I know Shay, you know I love you. Okay, so we have
listen, I
some.
ain't never
So we're
moved.
going from no, we're going from 21 to in the 50s. Okay, so Miranda, tell
yes.
us what was the how did you come about to join Anthony McGahee and Praise Motivated? How did you join the choir?
Um. So first of all, I used to hear AMPM on the radio when I would get ready for school when I was younger. That was
Hmm.
when Persuaded was on the radio
Ooh.
on V100 on Sunday mornings, and I would be in the bathroom just barking down, and my mama would be like, "Hush all that noise." But I knew I'm like that's what I want to do. I want to bark. I want to all of that, right? So I started seeing different videos of AM/PM, and I'm like, this is a really nice choir, and they're here, right? So my very first AM/PM concert was Founder's birthday, I believe in 2013, when it was at Greater Mount Sinai, and they had on all black. He still had
Mm.
his locks. I missed the locks, but he still had his locks. And the very first song that they sang is still my favorite, The Lord Reigneth. It's a fan favorite, and it's my favorite too, and my baby's favorite as of right now. And I was just mesmerized, and I'm like, oh my goodness, I want to be up there. Like I want to sing. And so Founder heard me one night when we were at Midwest Regionals, and I thought he kept turning around looking at me because I was singing the wrong note. So I'm like, okay, I'm singing the right note. Like I know I'm singing the right note. Why he keep looking at me? And afterwards, he saw me and was like, "Do y'all know her?" And my friends that I was with was like, "Yeah." That was like, he said she was singing down in that soprano section. I had to keep turning around to see who it was. And I'm like, oh, because I'm automatically thinking, oh my gosh, I must be off key. But I wasn't,
Yes, who is
apparently.
this? Who is this? Think behind me singing.
So he said, how old are you? I said, 16. He said, oh, you too young to be in my choir. Founder saved a spot for me until I was 19 years old.
Oh.
I mean, literally inboxed me on my 18th birthday. You know, you got a spot in my choir. You know, Fear said, okay, and made me hide for another almost 2 years. And then he saw me at an event that Key Eric was having and was like, inbox me. Okay. He said, hey, you still got a spot in my choir? I said, okay, Founder. Well, I didn't know him as Founder then. I said, okay, when is the next rehearsal? He said, it's this upcoming Monday. And that was 8 years ago.
Oh Lord.
Period.
Yeah, I've been in AMPM for 8 years now, and I've loved every minute of it. AMPM saved my life.
Yeah.
I can say that. AMPM saved me.
You don't start either on tonight. Y'all be doing that. Y'all be trying to go in on the AMPM.
I'm not
saving your
trying to
life
go
the
in.
first
You asked
5
for my
minutes and-
story, and I told it.
Y'all be not tonight. Give us a minute. Let us get into it. Y'all be snatching our soul. Well, let me cover up these braids, baby. Y'all be snatching us right in the beginning. I love. You know what? We have so much to unpack from there. Keyshawn, tell us,
Yeah.
how did you join AMPM, and then kind of tell us from a different perspective as a Gen Zer joining. Was there any admiration? What did that look like for you?
Oh Lord. Okay. Yeah. So kind of like how I said the other night. I joined AMPM around the last time I said was around like 2018, 2019, but it's 2019 because I joined in January. And I was 18 years old when I had joined. Just told my age. But yeah, I was 18. I was 18 years old when I joined AMPM. Like I said, my mom, my aunt, my family, they sung with Anthony growing up in Wisconsin State Youth Choir. So joining AMPM, it wasn't much of a surprise, but when I got to AMPM, it was certainly a culture shock, I should say, because what you hear on a Sunday morning, choir, or what you practice for a Sunday morning choir, that's not what we practice over here. You learn different things, and one thing about Anthony and singing with AMPM is that you can for sure count on that you will not hear the same way that you have sang before you join after you join. There's learning in there. There's great tutelage being under Anthony's direction. And so that so uh so when I had joined, I had joined with my cousin Katriana. If you know me, that's my ride or die. When you see her, you
That's
see
my
me,
game.
and likewise. But we had joined, we had joined together, and I've been in ever since. Like I said last time, I haven't left yet. I don't see myself leaving anytime soon. Um, and being a Gen Z, and being a Gen Z, and then coming to a choir where you have so many matured singers, and those who have been singing longer than I have even been alive, you kind of sit there and be like, oh, can I do that? Like, I'm here with
Right.
them right now, but I'm only, such and such years old, and they got some years on me. They got more practice, they got more, learning experience with me. Except, besides me. And you know, you learn to get on each other's level. You teach one another. I remember when I had got into AMPM, I had I had sat next to or behind Jonas. And and if you know Jonas, Jonas is a if you ask me, he's the best tenor I know. But that was not how I felt when I got into, AMPM. I heard Jonas, I was like, he sounds so good, whatever. But Jonas can be Jonas sometimes. So I was like, I
He's
can't
not
wait to
as
he whatever.
warm.
He's
You are-
not as warm. He's not as warm, but and he will correct you, and the way he will correct you, it will seem a little off, but you will know at the end he's doing it out of love and because he wants to
Mm-hmm.
hear the right thing. And so like I say to this day, as a tenor, as a choir tenor, I can certainly give completely, and while let's give flowers when while people are yet alive, I can certainly do thank Jonas, founder, and Danny Land for teaching me how to be a great tenor within AM/PM. So, and then once I think we did and we had an engagement for Souls to the Polls not that long ago during this past election, and we had to sing behind Ricky Dillard. And when you know you're doing a good job, when you know you're being, taught by and raised by vocally by the right people, is when the choir master and stuff turn around and say, "I hear you, son. You sound good." That alone was good enough for
Mm-hmm.
me right there. That's like, oh, I done made it.
Oh,
I felt my I done made it moment. So and anyway, that's my
gotta,
thing right there. So, but yeah,
You know what?
that's
It's so funny.
uh-huh.
I feel like I used to see, um, and when I say basic
Uh-huh.
videos of AM/PM, I don't mean it in a shady way.
Hmm.
I mean it in I was just maybe some the simplicity, or because had I known that it was as intricate as it is,
Hmm.
I absolutely would have been intimidated and never would have joined this choir.
Oh yeah, yeah. I
Like,
tell people I tell
mm-mm.
people to this day that even that I know who are singers and who, that can that have the potential or whatnot, but not necessarily have the drive when you're joining a choir such as, or any professional choir overall, you
Mm-hmm.
have to have some kind of drive or you are not going to last. And it's a lot of people that I know that like, I want audition for AM/PM, and I will tell them straight up, don't do it, because I know them. Like, you ain't you
It's
ain't got
not
it
for the
in
faint of
you.
heart at
It's not
all.
for the faint of heart at all. At all. It takes a lot. So yeah.
Yeah, I agree. I agree. I was like, what did I get myself into? The first rehearsal, the first song list was 13 songs.
Listen, yeah,
Oh,
yeah.
y'all barking. I sat next to Anisha, my first, and she did not
Oh
miss a,
yeah.
like,
Oh
every
yeah.
every note she sang on every song. She didn't. I was like, oh yeah.
Anisha's definitely one of my favorite altos in
Like, oh,
AM/PM.
okay, so this is what
Baby
we doing.
girl got it for
It
me.
it's
Yeah, my
not, you
sister
gonna either
got it.
shape up or ship out. That's one of the two. That's
It's
just
Absolutely.
what.
it's literally like that. I have to say so. Yeah, it's literally like that. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's
Listen,
literally
my
like that.
very first rehearsal, I saw everybody and what everybody was doing. I said, "Oh yeah, I got to get it together." Listen, so the
Yeah.
next rehearsal I was not able to make it. By that next rehearsal that I came to, I knew all the material, all the
Hmm.
moves, all the songs, all the words, frontwards and backwards, because I went home and did my homework. Okay,
Won't
Yeah.
because
it humble you?
I
I
was
will
not
never
about to be
forget.
around all of them people embarrassing myself.
Then we wore these shirts, and I didn't know that the Lord reigning. And I
Oh
was back
yeah.
there ducking him. I said, "Oh yeah, you won't catch me no more." You either gonna work and get it right, like
Yeah.
and like Miranda the other day, somebody you tearing the highway up. I ain't finna stand up here and be shamed. I got to get the choir rehearsal now.
Hello.
Like, I just don't understand like what we're doing here. So that's super awesome to
Not about to be
know.
shamed. That
Yeah,
I
I
felt
can't
that.
afford it. It's too much riding on this. Let me get the choir rehearsal so I know. So it's really good to know though, the zeal. Sometimes I feel, oh no, I get concerned about what music ministry looks like for the generations coming after me. What church, what the things of God look, what godly behaviors, and I get concerned sometimes,
I
but
am
then it
concerned.
encourages
Absolutely.
me. It encourages me though when I see that there are still young people that have a zeal for the
Yeah.
things of God.
Oh yeah.
Like,
Oh
so
yeah.
so I absolutely applaud you all for that. I think that's amazing. Um
And there has to be those of us that are from the generation before, have to not be ashamed to, because for a long time they would always say, well, you gotta be change everything for the young people to come in and all this and all that.
Hmm.
Some
Hmm.
young people want structure. Some people, young people, want that discipline. They want to
Hmm.
be better.
Yeah.
I'll never forget because I share it with the choir all the time. When I joined New G, um, he would go through songs that were not on the current album,
Hmm.
but the prior albums. Now, I going in, I was a fan, and not just a fan, but I was a choir head, so I knew the
Yeah.
material. When we got there, there were a lot of new people that had joined with not joined. They didn't know the material, and he went off. I mean, he said, "This is what he said." He said, "I didn't join you; you joined me. Learn my material." That standard made me, even though I knew it,
Yeah.
it made me go home and listen to it again. Made me make sure I was on top of whatever, whatever. It gave me a goal to want to reach. And
Yeah.
so that's usually my approach with this younger generation is that what inspired me was I was challenged. So challenged to be better because I can get this note. Trust me, I can get this. I can hear this. I can find this. I can get it. And that's what made me, work harder to do it. Now there are some that are blessed that they just open their mouth and they can just sing whatever, whatever,
Hmm.
whatever, and that's wonderful, but they don't have the basic structure. So when structure is applied, they don't do as well. Like they can stand
Hmm.
flat foot right now in front of you and kill, but put them on a big stage and they look like amateur hour. That's because there's no structure there.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
structure for this next generation is what's going to help them to be the church that used to be.
I
True.
agree. My God, mom, I don't know, we had to do something, and I clearly had to be talking about her uniform. And I was like, yeah, Anthony don't let us sing if we don't have stockings on. He's like, we don't wear pantyhose. She's like, I love Anthony. I love it. And I was like, but there is a standard, and I love, I'm a firm
Because
believer in
holiness
God's
is right.
principle. That I by far don't be perfect, but I
Holiness
don't
without
want
wish.
my slip hanging. So I
Listen,
definitely agree. You know.
it's still right. It may not tickle your fancy. It may not be the latest fad, but it's still right.
Oh
Listen, it
yes,
may
oh
not be
yes.
your cup of tea,
Ah,
but that's because it's coffee.
that's it. That's it.
That was such a Gen Zer because I have never heard that. So let me ask you guys, um, do you guys ever feel a disconnect with that? Wait, hold on. Anthony, what are you? What's your generation?
Oh
He's a millennial.
He is not a millennial.
He's not a millennial?
no, I'm
No.
right
Oh,
before.
okay. Oh, okay, gotcha.
I'm
Oh,
almost
I am a
50.
sorry to
I'm
millennial.
right
hear that.
before. Yeah,
What's that one? That would be Gen X?
Think so. Yeah.
I think so.
Yep,
Okay.
Gen
I think
X.
so.
Gen X. Okay. So do you guys ever feel any disconnect with the millennials or the Gen Xers in the choir?
Not really. I don't I feel like because like and hopefully other choirs feel the same way, but everyone is family. Like literally
Yeah.
everyone is family. So it's
Yeah.
not like little kids over here, whatever. Like don't get me wrong. I remember when I had joined or a little bit shortly after I had joined, we had all the young people. We used to call ourselves the AMPM Youth Chorale
The
or
AMPM
whatnot.
Children's Choir.
The AMPM Children's Choir.
Yes.
So like, but that was just, because young people, we attract one another. So we're gonna just be with, sometimes we have our moments where we just be with one another. But overall aspect, whoever's the oldest, put me in the same room. We can have a regular conversation. Like
Right.
it's nothing like that whatsoever. Which is another reason why the retention rate within AMPM is pretty long and whatnot. Because at the end of the day, whether you're here or not, or you dismiss yourself or whatnot, we're always going to be
Um,
family.
we got mothers and daughters, biological mother and daughters in the choir.
Literally, literally. Literally.
literally. So
Yeah.
it definitely translates.
Yeah.
Um, and what's good is this. Okay, so like Samaria, Sam, she is a what you all are. What are y'all again?
Gen Z.
Gen Z.
Gen Z.
Gen Z. Gen Z. She's Gen Z, right? Her mom is what you are,
A
Yolanda,
millennial. Yep.
a millennial, right? And so when
Yeah.
they come together, they go their separate way, and she
Yeah.
has her group, and she has her group within the choir, so that it's still fine, and nobody's getting on each other's nerves or whatever,
Yeah.
whatever. It just mashes. Sometimes some of the older forget that they got children older than some of the other choir members.
Hmm.
They forget when they're talking to them because everybody kind of treats everybody like adults,
Yeah.
so it
Yeah.
just flows.
Because we
Right. And
are. At the end
yeah,
of the
and
day,
the
technically
only
we
thing that
are.
I can say I don't relate to is classic black movies because I haven't seen them. Other than that, I don't feel a disconnect because it's like everybody else said. It's everybody has their own relationship with each other in the choir. Like everybody isn't buddy buddy. Everybody don't kick it with everybody, but when we're all together, especially when we're out of town, we stick together. We don't care what's going on, who got
It
what
don't matter
going
if we
on,
out of town or
who,
not.
right,
Yeah,
but
Cause
especially
we
when
gonna
we
go
out of
get
town.
us a chicken wing, huh, Keyshawn?
Hello,
We're
we
gonna
gon'
get
we
a we're
gonna go
gonna
get
give
us a
us a
chicken wing,
harrow.
a fry, a night a Sprite from McDonald's or something.
Yeah.
We find stuff to do. We'll make fun out of something that's not fun. Like
Yeah.
when we got snowed in, when we were in
In
Springfield,
Springfield, yeah.
we had to make the most out of that. I had a newborn and had to make the most out of it. So
yeah,
and it still worked out perfectly fine and everybody got back safe.
Yeah.
Everybody got back at a decent amount of time. Everybody got back in one piece. So it wasn't like wasn't nobody fighting. We don't have like brawls happening. Whatever. Like we are, and even if there is a disagreement, we kind of
we
don't
work it
show
out.
it. Like,
Yeah,
there are people who are able to mediate in those type of things. Like because we're all
yeah,
family, there are people who can include themselves and help to mediate or like come to a resolve about whatever the issue is, and it doesn't even have to spread out to anywhere else.
There's
yeah.
structure here.
Yeah,
AMPM is an
Ah,
Anthony's so
organization,
sad.
not just a choir. AMPM got an
I'm ready.
organization. AMPM is
So
an
I'm
okay,
ready.
so
organization.
listen,
I
don't
so
make me get this tambourine
Yeah,
out the
my, my,
back
my,
seat.
my, 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 young day.
wait, founder, come back real quick.
Okay, I'm back.
Come back
Come
real
out
quick.
the
So
spirit.
I want to hear from you. Tell me what it's been like as a choir leader to serve a multi-generational choir.
Okay, well, I've been doing this for 28 years, and I love every generation that has been with me throughout the 28 years. But the past 7, 8 years have been my favorite. And I guess it's more so the reason why I say it's my favorite because the foundation had been laid by then. So I saw a lot of the
Yes, me
I
too.
saw a lot of the
I just did.
pitfalls already, and so now I was avoiding them. So now we were reaping the harvest off of what those that came before them had
Yeah.
sown. So
Yeah.
I was able at the beginning of it, I wasn't reaping any harvest. It was just serving, just working, sowing, and not really seeing the benefit of what I was sowing. I was picking people up at a two-door Dodge Avenger sports car. I'm picking people up from one side of town, drive them all to the rehearsal, going back to get another set, drive them all back to rehearsal, going to get another set, drive up 3 sets in a two-door car on a Monday night. Do rehearsal, I work rehearsal, I leave to go take the first load home, come back, take the next load. I did this every Monday. So
Mhm.
to get in the car and it's just me, I don't know what's going on here. Like to little things like that will make me emotional because I see the
Mhm.
growth, right? And not because I hated dropping anybody off, because that was our bonding time. So I enjoyed when y'all rode with
I was a
Fountain,
part of those
because
rides.
yeah,
I was
it was bonding time. We laughed, we talked, we did all of that stuff, right? And so it wasn't about that, but the growth that I saw, and now these that have come. the younger ones bring energy and life into those that have already been on the battlefield for a long time.
Mhm.
So y'all, because y'all charge us, it makes us work. Where we'll get tired, we'll get a little weary. Y'all come in the room with this energy, and all of a sudden, here, let's go. Because we already know what it is. And the Bible talks about it. And I don't mean to get spiritual, but it talks about that he calls the young because they're strong, the old
Yeah.
because they know the way. So, with the strength of you all and the knowledge of us, there's nothing we can't do.
Right.
Hmm.
So, yeah, this younger generation definitely brings in that energy that, and this also this younger generation, for the most part, I haven't had any issues with. It's been a pleasure having them be a part. And when there were issues, it was some of the older ones. So I had to handle,
Some of them Gen
with them.
X's.
And so with that,
It's like,
mm, no, they were millennials. They were millennials
Them
that I
Gen
had to
X.
fix. But anyway, with me, handling this, the older are kind of they know the way, so they are um on board with what we're doing. So they may be a little slow moving, but they're on board. The younger generation I speak to and they move. So that makes me enjoy doing this more. They talk about how I used to be so mean or whatever. Well, I had to be back then because they were all kids.
Mm.
So I was technically a kid. When I started this, I was 2021. So definitely it took some growth. And so the Anthony I was then, I didn't have to be that now. This one now I can speak and they listen. That one I had to speak, yell, speak, fuss, yell, show up at their house and then make them, like that. It was a lot.
not pull up.
It was a lot. And some of them I would love for them to come back. However, because this is different now, I don't have I can't run behind them
Hmm.
and be that Anthony that they knew. In
Mhm.
that aspect. I still
Mhm.
love them. I still do anything to help them, whatever. But me wanting you to be a part of this more than your actions said that you wanted to be, I can't do that anymore.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
that was the mature part of what we're doing with this generation, this younger generation. I just speak and they respond.
Okay, that's good. So I don't want us to get. Hey, I'm gonna let it be what it is. So Miranda, you said earlier that the choir saved your life. Elaborate on that.
Okay. See, you trying to start trouble. Look at
Well,
Here we go.
I mean,
I'm
I want
like, I
to
feel like I
elaborate.
need to get some tissue. Um, so I joined AMPM at a time where I was really kind of starting the journey of discovering who I was. So, um, I had been in a few groups before I got to AMPM. And, they were cool for what they were. I did what I did, but those slowly fizzled out. Um, and I remember being in a certain place around that time. Um, eh, where it was like, I kind of just didn't feel like I really had anybody. It's like, I have people that I know, I have people that I associate with, but I don't have like too many people who I can really call my people, you know? And so when I the first rehearsal, I remember the first rehearsal as if like I just walked in there last week. I didn't I went in there, expecting to get the kind of stank faces because it's like, who is this new person walking in here? Because people who have already been there and have been established, it's like, we don't like new people. We want to keep it the way it
Yes.
is because we like it the way it is.
Yeah.
And so I already, because I had experienced that already, um, I was definitely nervous going in. But the help that I got, the the assistance that I got, the willingness of them to help me, I was afraid of messing up because it's like, if I mess up, I'm gonna get made fun of, or if I mess up, I'm gonna get laughed at, or if I mess up, it's gonna be an issue because in my mind, this is a level up from regular choirdom. This is
Yeah.
like to me because, like Founder said, you have to be a fan of the choir you're in. It makes sense to be a fan of the choir that you're in. So the first rehearsal we sang "Persuaded," I didn't even know it was by AMPM until Patrice told me that first rehearsal. Because I'm like, oh my God, I know this song. Who is this by? And she kind of looked at me like, what? I, who is this by? She said, Anthony wrote this. I'm like, so you mean to tell me the song that I was listening to like when I was 5 is the song that he wrote?
I
And
did.
and so knowing that I had that connection even when I was that young, you know, I didn't even know it was AMPM, but in my mind, it was like, that's where I want to be. That's what I want to do. And again, with the family aspect, being in this choir, I don't think there are any other people in my life that I'm closer to than the people in this choir. The people who I find myself talking to the most are in this choir. The people who I, get counsel from are in this choir, especially Founder. He has checked me a couple times. Because even, the people who he calls his favorite group, the best, we mess up sometimes too. We have moments sometimes too, and he's always come to me with love. He's never raised his voice. He's never, anytime he chastised me, it was for good reason. It was because
Whatever,
he had,
Keisha.
you know, it was for good reason. It was because he knows my potential. He knows what
Yeah.
I can be. He knows what I can do, and he helps me with the doubt that I have with myself. And he has helped me to, and it's still helping me to become the singer that I want to be. And when I first joined AMPM, I was trash. Okay, from my point of view, I was trash. Okay, like kibbles and bits. Nod and upgraded to a little Purina cat chow, right? We done upped a couple of brands, but that's from being in AMPM. I don't feel judged when I walk in there. I don't feel looked down on. I never felt out of place. Even with being the youngest one, it was almost like they cared for me more because of how young I
Mm,
was.
mm,
They looked out for me. I had people on my first singing engagement buying me food because I didn't have any money. I was just coming and glad to be in the number. But I had people buying me food, and I'm
Detroit.
expecting them to expect me to pay them back, and I didn't have to do that. I got a sense of actually feeling like I belong somewhere, and actually feeling like I was worthy of being in the place that I was in. I didn't feel like I had to hide who I was. I didn't feel like I had to downplay who I was. I've never had to downplay that. I've never had to worry about not being myself because I can be myself. And it makes me emotional obviously because even my baby is a fan of this choir. My baby is growing up under AMPM, and I wouldn't have it any other way because they show her that exact same love. Even when my mother transitioned, because during when my mother transitioned while with my time being at AMPM, and they showed up, even if they couldn't actually be there, they were in my inbox. They were calling me. They were checking on me. Katriana and Keyshawn were at my mother's funeral. They were up in the balcony. I could see them from where I was. I wasn't expecting that because they didn't even really know me like that. We had maybe been together maybe 2 singing engagements, and they showed up for me in the time that I needed somebody to show up. So that's just a portion of how AMPM has saved my life. There are so many other instances that I could talk about, but I am grateful to be a part of not just a choir, but a part of a family.
yeah.
I
Yeah.
I I kind of my family is a little scattered right now because I don't have a mother or a father. I don't have any grandparents except for one, and she's 5.5 hours away. So my family is AMPM. Satan, the Lord rebuke you. I'm giving the Lord glory right now. But my family is AMPM. That's who my family has grown to be. That's who when I talk about my favorite uncle, I'm talking about my Uncle Founder. That he has become my uncle. That has become my family. My baby loves Uncle. Every Sunday we gonna see Uncle. We go see. I want to sing Uncle song. Let's see Uncle. I want to call Uncle because that's who he presented himself to me as. I've
Mm-hmm.
never gotten a different Anthony ever.
Mhm.
Ever. It has been the same Anthony from day one. And that is something that I truly appreciate because I have not had a lot of consistency or consistent people in my
Mm.
life. And he
Mhm.
has been a constant person that has been there. A constant person that has been there. And I promise you, until I can't no more, when it comes to Uncle Founder, anything he asks me to do, I'm there. Any place he asks me to be, if I can be there, I'm there. Anywhere that if he needs me to sing background for something, I'm there. Because he's there and he's done that much and more for me. It would be a shame for me not to respond when he called.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
It would be a shame for me not to jump when he says something because that's who he is to me. That's who
Yeah.
he's been to me. And I wouldn't have it any other way. I'm not gonna take up too much more time. I'm sorry, but I love my
No, you
uncle.
could.
I love my uncle. Okay, I don't play about
You ain't
when
wrong, Queen.
it comes to Uncle Founder. Don't let it come to Uncle Founder.
That
Okay,
part.
No, that's
That
right.
part.
don't even let it come to him because he got a whole war of people that will stand up and behind him,
Because
in
I
front
say
of him,
words he
on the
don't
sides
say.
of him. You won't even be able to see him. He'll be surrounded by the people that love him. And I'm glad that I've been able to see the growth even from my short 8 years of being here.
Mhm.
Because the choir been around as long as I've been alive. But even in the time that I've been in here, not only have I seen growth in myself, I've seen growth in the choir as a whole. That's why I'm like, I ain't going nowhere. Even my grandma was able to come to terms about it not being about the clothes that we wear, but it's about the God that we serve. And my grandma was in her 80s and came to one concert. And that one concert changed her perspective for the rest of, I mean, she's still alive, but has changed her perspective since then.
Yeah.
Because at first she was bothered about us having pants on, but once we started singing and she saw how serious we were about ministry, she said the pants didn't even bother her anymore. And she's
Mm.
old school Church of God in Christ. From the we
Oh,
can't
come
wear
on.
red lipstick, we can't go to the movies, we can't go to a wrestling match, we can't go to the TV is a one-eyed devil. But my grandma from Founders Impact was able to see that it's not about the outside, it's about what's on the inside. That's the kind of impact that Uncle Founder has. That's the kind of impact that Anthony McGahee and Praise Motivated has. And I'm grateful to be a part of that. I am honored. It's an honor and a privilege to even be on this live. I would have never expected to be on this thing. But I'm
Oh.
glad that I get to share and I get to talk about what I've gotten to experience being under his leadership, being under his tutelage, like Bishop said. That's it. I'm done. I talk too much. I love y'all.
No, thank you so much for your transparency. We absolutely appreciate it. And it's so funny that you say that because I remember, and I don't know if that's the thing that the choir does, but I remember when we first got in the choir and they posted pictures, everybody was so welcoming, and then everybody started sending me Facebook friend requests. I was like, oh, these people are really nice. And then
Yeah,
we had these shirts on. We got to our first engagement. This was 4 years ago. And that time has gone by so quick. That was in
yeah,
2021.
It goes
Well, the
by so
pandemic lasts
fast.
7 years, so
Man, I was like, and everybody was
Time went by so
welcoming
fast.
and hugging. I was like, oh,
Hmm.
they might be nice for real.
They just might be nice
like,
They
hey,
folk.
might.
bro,
And when
they
Amber's
get it from
grandfather
us.
passed, it wasn't even my grandfather, but I looked up in the balcony and I saw Jonas, Marzell, and Raekwon that drove 4 hours to support. I was like, oh, they show love for real. So you ain't lying. You it we become a family, and I love every
Yeah.
bit of it. Keyshawn, you have any moments that stick out to you in regards to how the choir has just been a saving grace or a place of comfort or support?
Yeah, I mean, just overall, AMPM is really it's a home away from home. Um, since I've been at AMPM, I done probably lived in so many cities within Wisconsin. Even now, they just moved to a whole different city. But um, no, AM, I traveled for rehearsals and stuff like that. And a lot of people ask me, like, you travel like hours and change just to come to rehearsal. Yes, yes, I do. Because that hour and 15 minutes, that hour and a half drive, it keeps me from doing stuff that I don't have no business doing.
Mm.
It keeps me
Holiness.
grounded. Huh? Huh?
Huh?
Huh? So
Holiness?
holiness. Oh, but no, it's a home away from home. It's family away from family. You know what I mean? Like when I get around AM PM, I can I do what I love to do. I do what I love to do around people who love to do what we all love to do. That's in common. So every time, every rehearsal, every time I get together with any AMPM, whether if it's a rehearsal, whether if it's a choir fellowship, a sectional fellowship, or whatnot, it's always a good time. It's always a good time. So, um, really, anytime we anytime we get together, yeah, that's an inspiring moment for me.
You know what? It's so funny that like, well, me being an out of state member,
Hmm.
which I'm literally right next door. You know what I'm saying? So not that
Hmm.
I'm so far,
Hmm.
but I woke up yesterday and I was going to 6 a.m. prayer, and my day was just long, and I worked till like 10 o'clock at night. Um, and I was just like, I got to get to rehearsal. Just was thinking like, let me hurry up and get my stuff together. And it's my days are long, my life is busy. It's just so much, right?
Yeah.
That to the average person, it'll be like, oh my God, you gonna drive 3.5 hours to get to rehearsal, or you gonna catch the train to get to rehearsal. And it's almost like welcoming just a place of peace. Of this
Listen.
drive. Like, I don't have to really talk to nobody. Don't let me be on the train. The signal bad anyway, so I really ain't gotta talk to nobody. I don't have to plug into a Zoom. I don't have to answer anything at work. Give me just to think and be quiet. And then of course come somewhere to do something that you love to do. But people don't. I don't think people understand the solitude
I was
and serenity
just
of that.
about to say that people really do not understand. People nowadays they don't have true like a true drive for anything. Like I feel like that's what's missing in a lot of people. A lot of people are not focused on one thing or focused on something that they actually love to do. Like I said, for out of town members or members who drive hours and change away to come to rehearsal or to come to an engagement to sing or whatever, or to just simply fellowship, a lot of people don't understand like that. That's just you just showing love to something that you do. That's you just showing, passion and compassion for something that you do or whatnot. I remember when I was in school, when I was in college, and I would drive to come to rehearsals or whatnot. My friends, they be like, "You going all the way back home just to go to a rehearsal?" Yes, yes, I am, because I love what I do. I have a passion for what I do. I want to get better at what I do. What am I coming to, engaging to engagement?
Yes.
If I don't know, people just
Who
missing a
get me?
drive for stuff. That's the thing. People are missing drive. And
And
one thing you're gonna do once you
I try to make sure I create an atmosphere that benefits that makes you want to come back, that makes it
yeah.
not a chore to
Hmm.
do. I remember when I was sung at Wisconsin State, we have rehearsal every Monday. Why did we have rehearsal every Monday? We were singing every weekend, right? And
Mhm.
it wasn't necessarily that we needed to learn new songs, but that Monday rehearsal, it did something for us spiritually, as well, to be in sync with like-minded minds for the same
Yeah.
goal, same purpose. To the point that it didn't matter what we had going on, because we was in school, we had jobs, we was doing all these things. But Monday night, we was not gonna miss rehearsal. 200 choir members. we piled in them churches every Monday night. Didn't matter what was going on. Your school event happened or something on Monday, I won't be able to be there. School dance, I won't be able to be there. I
Yeah.
remember I got WrestleMania tickets. I wanted to go so bad, but it was when WrestleMania used to be on Monday
On
nights,
a Monday night.
and we couldn't go. And they
Yeah.
was my friends was so mad at me because I was like, y'all can have tickets, but I can't go. We spent all this money for you to get these tickets, and tickets was like $50. So when you're a teenager, that's a lot of money.
That's a lot
Mm-hmm.
of money. That's a lot of
Oh,
money.
they was so mad at me, and I told them I couldn't go because rehearsal. I got rehearsal. It was like, but y'all
Yeah.
ain't even staying nowhere this weekend. It didn't matter. Brother Robert said it's rehearsal. We got to be there, you know. And that drive, I remember I wouldn't have a way. I would catch the bus. We got to be there, figure out a way. My mom, when she would punish us, her punishment was you can't go to rehearsal. So I
Yep.
did what I needed to do to get to
Yep.
rehearsal. I remember even when I started this choir and I didn't have a vehicle, what I would do is I looked at the bus routes and I would tell them, okay, meet me on this stop, meet me on this stop, meet me on this stop. And I paid for them to get on the bus. As we got to their stop, we picked each other up on the bus. Dedicated,
It's
Dedication. That's
committed,
dedication.
so dedicated.
Yep.
driven to do this. And that drive, God has given me such a drive. Thank you, Holy Ghost. Given me such a drive, and not just be singing, but to perfect what He called me to do better, and not to be the best, because the best is a matter of opinion. But you
Yeah.
can't deny the fact of you still being better.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm in the process, and so that process drives me to keep trying to reach for better.
Mm-hmm.
Better, not better than you, better than what I was, better than what I did. So that
So
little
pressure.
moment of sacrifice, of uncomfortability or inconvenience, I don't mind it because the goal is to be better.
Yeah.
The goal is to be
Yes.
better. So whatever I need to do to build this character, to build these gifts, to build all these gifts and stuff that He's given me, to really cultivate it, it's going to take time. And that's the problem with some of this generation is that they don't want to spend the time it takes to get better. They want to fast, quick. I want to wake up better, and that's that. Some stuff
Microwave mentality.
when you cooking neck bones and you cooking oxtail, you cannot cook that in the microwave.
Mm-mm.
I don't care how fancy your microwave
I
is.
don't even put mine
Mm-mm.
in the pressure cooker. I need it to slow
It's
cook.
not going.
Nope.
Exactly. It's some things is going. And you know what? The stuff that's precious, you gotta slow cook it.
Yep.
Uh-huh.
Mm-hmm.
The stuff that's really valuable, you gotta slow cook it. Because if you cook it too fast, you take all the moisture out, all the juices out, all the good stuff that you really gonna enjoy. It's dried out. Put it
And
in
then
that
it'll be
microwave if
raw
you
in the
want to.
middle.
Undone. And it's a lot of saints right about here undone,
Yeah.
Half baked.
Premature.
half baked. So,
Mm-hmm.
Half baked.
the whole point of what I'm saying is that the I talked about the structure and the drive you all brought up about the drive, and there's a lack of that because there has to be inspiration. Somebody has to persevere against all odds to
Mm.
to be the one that's
That's good.
doing different, even though everybody else is finding an easier way to do it. Somebody's
That's
got to.
good.
So why not us? Why not now?
That's real good. And I also believe, just like, Keyshawn, you going to Wisconsin, you going all the way to Milwaukee for choir wrestling. This is a
Yeah.
professional choir. This ain't, so yes, we going to choir wrestle, like, you know. But I
Recording
think
artists.
that the grace that God gives, it doesn't feel like a chore or a task.
It
When you're
doesn't feel like a
graced to
chore
do
or a
something,
Right.
task.
when you're called to it, it doesn't feel that way.
It doesn't
And when
feel
it
like a job.
begins,
It's
and when
not
it
a job.
begins to feel like a job or it begins to feel like a chore or a task, that's when something must change.
Right. You might
That's when
need to
something
move
must
around.
change.
Okay, we're gonna wrap up because I want to make sure we get off. I want to respect
Amen.
our time. But
Amen.
I do want to know from the Gen Z perspective, um, how do you equate the ministry portion of this with your life? Like how, because yeah, we sing, yeah. But what do you take away spiritually from this?
Mm. You can go ahead, Miranda.
And I'm
Um,
listening. I gotta cut my camera off for 1 second.
um, as far as the spiritual aspect, we get a lot of spiritual wisdom from Founder. Like every rehearsal, it doesn't matter what day, it doesn't matter what time, he's going to have some kind of impartation for us at rehearsal. Um, so it's almost like rehearsal is almost like church again, most times because we he does the impartation and it reminds us of what we're doing it for, what we're
Mhm.
doing this
Hmm.
for. It reminds us of who we're doing this for. This is not for us. This is not for clout. This is
Yep.
not for, recognition. This is not for awards. All of those things may very well come and we're believing God for it. But even if those things never come, that's not what we're here for. That's not what we come together for. I
Yeah.
feel like those that fall off or fall by the wayside are the ones who kind of maybe not even had the right motive. They got in because it looked good or they
Mhm.
got in because it sounded good or, whatever. But when you have a true understanding of what ministry is and what ministry entails and the things that you personally have to sacrifice for ministry, because this is a sacrifice. All
Hmm.
these rehearsals and the engagements and the exposure, the having to be at everything, this
Yeah.
is a sacrifice. There are,
Hmm.
of course there are plenty of other things that I could do in place of the engagements and the rehearsals and whatnot, but because I know this is ministry and I know that this is not just a ministry, but a ministry that God has called me to,
Yeah.
there's a sacrifice that comes with that. And
Yeah.
and with that sacrifice, God honors sacrifice. God honors the time that you spend
Yeah.
doing the things that,
Yep.
he blessed you to do and that you have the opportunity to do.
Hmm.
So that's the spiritual side that I get from it. It's always um I think my car battery just died. It's okay. Um, it's always a spiritual impartation when it comes to founder, when it comes to anything that we do.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's it. You can go ahead, Bishop.
Uh, singing with praise motivated. Absolutely does pour into me spiritually in many ways. It's more than just music. It's ministry. And every
Mm-hmm.
time we worship together, I'm reminded that um, God uses our voices as vessels, to heal, to uplift, and break chains and break bondages and yokes. So being in this group constantly pushes me to grow closer to God, not
Mm-hmm.
just in performance, but in my personal walk. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
I feel like I leave every rehearsal and every engagement more filled, more convicted, more aware of God's presence in my life. So it reminds me that worship isn't just about singing; it's about surrendering yourself. So and it's about um, touching lives that you don't even think you can touch or whatnot. You just never know who your voice, may transcend across the room or whatnot. I was at a I work in government, and we had to go to a school not long ago, about a couple of weeks ago, about 2 weeks ago, and there was a little boy who was in a like a first grade, second grade class, or whatever, younger kids, and there was a little boy who came up to me and was like, "You sing with Anthony?" And I
Oh.
was like, and it kind of caught me off guard. And I was like, I'm sorry, say it again. And my boss told me, he was like, he asked, do you sing with Anthony? And I was like, yeah, I do. Yeah, I do sing with Anthony. And I'm like, it's crazy because you never know how old or how young the life that you are truly touching. You never know. You never know who's watching. You never know who's watching because if the little boy couldn't have been no more than about 7 years old, if someone that young watching you, who you don't
Mhm.
even know who he is, but he saw you one time or two times or what, however many times ministering, then you must be touching somebody's life. So that means you gotta walk a certain way. You have to live a certain way, and your ministry has to be effective. So yeah, that's my last spiel.
Hmm. Okay, so we are in the home stretch of this. Keyshawn, why do people need to be at this recording?
Listen, I told y'all a couple days ago, y'all need to be at this recording because y'all about to hear some of the most fire music that's ever graced the label as gospel music, as graced the genre of choir music or whatnot. You're gonna have a great time. You're gonna hear great music. You're gonna be around great vibes, great people. It's gonna be a moment of worship. It's gonna be a moment of praise. It's gonna be a moment that you can take in, and you won't. I can guarantee you will not leave the way you came. These songs, truly, truly, truly speaking, I'm speaking unbiased, like completely unbiased. This album, my God, this album is going to be fire, and you will be a fool if you miss it to listen to it live in Chicago. So that's why.
Miranda,
Uh-huh.
why should the saints be, well, why should the people, I didn't want to say the saints,
The
be at
people.
this recording?
Listen, because if you're not at the recording, what are you doing?
Huh?
What are you
Huh?
doing?
What you
What
doing?
what what are you doing that could be better
What
than
you
being at the live recording in Chicago? Because like we just said, this music from an unbiased standpoint, I understand that I am in this choir, but I can honestly say it's a couple songs that I'm like, okay, we don't ever have to sing this again. But every song ain't for everybody. But this album, you want to talk about a no skip?
What did
A
I say
no.
the other day, Keyshawn?
said what?
What did I say the other day? The album is a what?
But it's a no skip album. You're not gonna
It's a
be you
It's
ain't
praise
a
and
gonna be
no
able to
worship.
skip
skip.
on this
You
album.
cannot skip any of these songs. If you skip any
Uh,
of these songs, you crazy. You
and
are innocent.
anti-black.
And you need to repent and ask the Lord to heal your mind. Because listen, now in all seriousness, these songs, they tear us up every rehearsal. It doesn't matter if we just running through the song. You know, it it has such an impact. It's getting to impact us first. That's why
Hmm.
we want y'all to hear it so much, because of how much impact it has had just in our rehearsals. We
Yeah.
have had Terry service over, and I think maybe we got through 2 songs. Maybe, it could
Typical.
be the first song. And he'd be like, you know what, we just gonna get this one out the way. And we shout for 30 minutes afterwards because it's just that impactful. The words are powerful, the leads are powerful, everything is powerful.
Yeah.
So give us just the title, Miranda. What's your favorite song off the album?
That why would you even ask me that?
Because I
You
asked
just
Keyshawn already.
okay, so I think mine might be I think be all right.
Be all right.
I
Be all
think
right is a heavy
it's
hitter.
it's between it's
Oh yeah. Okay.
between
Okay.
be
Yeah.
all
Yeah. Yeah.
right and uh maybe awesome God.
Hmm.
It's between
Keyshawn,
those two.
Keyshawn, what's your favorite song? Oh,
The car song, "We Praise Your Name," and "Awesome God." Though them two there.
Awesome
I mean, they're
God.
the what I feel like what we have not talked about the most in terms of song, the acapella piece. The acapella
Yes,
piece is
yes,
going to be also fire. Like Founder said, what would an AMPM album be without an acapella piece? So this one
exactly.
for sure. The people of God gonna love this. But for sure, awesome God, and we praise your name.
yeah. Awesome God.
Yeah,
We
we
praise your
praise your
name.
name is
Be all
dangerous.
right. And
Yeah.
then I'm ready to bump too.
Oh
Yeah.
yeah.
Oh, just give me a good.
Are
So
you determined?
to see what the end gonna be.
My God.
So I'm super excited. So everybody, we need you. Anthony is chatting. It's I don't, okay. Sorry, Anthony.
It's all right.
So we're gonna wrap this up. Tickets can be purchased on eventbrite.com.
Mhm.
Please follow on all streaming platforms as well as all social media platforms Anthony McGahee, McGahee, and Praise Motivated. You look that up on Eventbrite. You can purchase your tickets there. I think VIP may be close to being sold out, but the concert will be May 31st in Chicago, Illinois at 4 p.m. Doors open up at 3. Chicago is a major hub. You can get your plane, train, automobile, and get there. Meet us there, beat us there, whatever you want to do. General admission is how much? Is it 30 or 35?
30, 30.
$30. And then VIP is $45. VIP comes with preferred seating and there's a gift bag. And so, you just don't want to miss it. And most of all, if you want to hear some good singing, you want to get your dance on, you want to get your cry on, you want to get your shout on, you want to sow a seed, you can sow a seed. You can inbox any of us. If you say, hey, I'm not really good with the technology, I don't know what Eventbrite is, can I get a physical ticket? Physical tickets are available as well. So all you have to do is reach out to myself, Miranda, Anthony, Keyshawn, any choir member, any choir administrator, and we can make sure that you get what you need. So please like and share. We love you all. Please be blessed. Again, May 31st, Chicago, Illinois, 4 p.m. at Trinity. What's the name of the church? It's on Vincennes.
Just look up Anthony McGahee and Praise Motivated.
Right.
You can
It's
find it on
Trinity
Instagram. You
something.
can find that.
It's Trinity something. We always
Yep,
say.
Trinity is in the name and it's on Vincennes.
Yeah.
That should narrow it down. But no, we love you all. Thank you all for tuning in, and we will see you next time. Have a good night. Thank you, everybody.
Good night, y'all.
Good night. Good night, y'all.